I've been procrastinating on making this video for a while now. You may have noticed I haven't uploaded anything in a while. And that's because this is really hard to talk about. And today I'm feeling strong enough to be able to get it out. And I don't think I've been able to. I haven't had the strength to talk about it basically this whole time. I'm gonna try to get to the point as fast as possible. Ideally, this is gonna be a short video, but every time I say that, it's not, so we'll see what happens. The last few videos that I posted at the end of last year, I alluded to something that I was calling a medical condition or medical situation, and I was being vague about it, and I told you guys that the reason was because I didn't know how it was going to turn out, and I was trying to be hopeful, and I didn't want to put it on the internet for other people to project their negative intentions onto it, because I was just so desperate for it to turn out well. I shouldn't have put mascara on for this, I'll tell you that. In August last year, right after I got back to Montreal, I noticed that Nala had been coughing and more than usual, and at first, when it first started, I wasn't sure if it was a hairball or what it was, and if you remember, I brought her to the vet in, I believe it was April of last year in Squamish, and they gave her antibiotics because he tested her urine and saw that there was bacteria, and said that it was probably just a urinary infection. And in August, I took her to the vet in Montreal because of her coughing that had gotten worse, and they x-rayed her lungs, and they told me that she had cancer, and they also said that this is what the vet told me at the time, that in cats, when they have cancer in the lungs, it didn't start in the lungs, it started somewhere else. And I started, obviously that meant that it was all over her body by that point, and it was really bad. And cats do this thing where they hide their illness and they hide their pain as long as they can, because if they show weakness, it makes them a target for predators. So it's hard to know when a cat is sick sometimes. And so the impression that I got from the vet, and I absolutely hate that vets don't seem to tell you everything that they know. They don't volunteer information. And so she gave Nala a prescription for an anti-inflammatory prednisone, and they basically said it's a shot in the dark, let's see what happens. And they said maybe we're wrong and it might be asthma, but from everything I knew of all her other symptoms, it just made more sense. I'm like, I know the cancer one fits way better. And she had prescribed gabapentin for pain. So basically, the impression that I got was, here's some anti-inflammatories just in case it helps. And the gabapentin was to help her in her final days. And they kept talking about her like she looked like she was done, and she was dehydrated. And so they gave her an IV bag for her hydration, and then when I took her home, I kept giving her liquids with an eyedropper like I did when they were kittens, and I rehydrated her, and it got her back to eating on her own and drinking on her own. But while she was on the anti-inflammatories, she seemed a lot better. But as soon as I took her off of them, or when the prescription ran out, her symptoms got bad again, and I started to try to treat her in other ways for cancer, looking for any possible solution. I gave her fenbendazole, which is a dewormer for animals, and also, I won't get into it, but you can look it up on TikTok, and never mind what Google says. There are lots of case studies where it's proven to be a miracle drug, essentially. And so I tried giving her that, which, by the way, I had given her 2 rounds in BC before we even came back, because of her coughing. I thought it could be, and I had already taken her to the vet at that point. She already went through the antibiotics, all this stuff. So I thought maybe her cough is hairballs, or maybe it's cancer, for which there's not much to do, or maybe it's lungworms or something like that. And so I gave her a parasitic treatment in case it was that, and also in case that it really was cancer and it had any kind of positive effect for it. So I had essentially been treating her for it since before I knew that she had it. And I continued to treat her with that. And I also was giving her supplements and CBD. So after she ran out of the anti-inflammatories, I knew that CBD was an anti-inflammatory, so I started treating her with CBD, because if you're not from Canada, you may not be aware of this, but weed is legal here. It's governmentally whatever, protected, controlled, and so I could walk up the street and for very cheap buy this product. And so I started giving her that at first as an anti-inflammatory, and then realizing that it could be helping if it really was cancer, which, you know, at this point I'm pretty sure that it was cancer. So, meaning at this point in the story, I was sure that it was cancer. So I thought that this product would also help her. So I was giving her that. And also it was in the protocol. If you look up the protocol for the whole fenbendazole thing, that was in there. So I was giving her the whole protocol. And I had ordered soursop, and I was giving her soursop tea, just like the whole shebang. Anything that I could think of that I could possibly do. I tried so hard. And there were so many times where I thought it was working. I thought it was working, and she had good days, and I thought that she was turning around. My whole life was devoted to trying to get her healthy. And it didn't work. And towards the end, I think I was lying to myself, because I thought if it's her time, I don't want to keep her here, but also if she doesn't want to leave and if there's any chance of helping her, then I want to take it, and I want to try as hard as I can to try to give her that chance. I didn't want to give up on her. So I just tried everything. And I can't, I don't think I can get into the details about the end, but it just got progressively worse. And she passed in the morning of Christmas Eve. And I couldn't stop going over every choice that I made and thinking about how if I only did something different, or if I knew earlier, or all the things that I wish I did or didn't do through her whole life to be better, to be a better cat monitor, to give her a better life. And that's been really, really hard to work through. And I still don't have, except for one friend I have in Florida. I don't have anyone around me who understands what I feel and why this hurts so much. I have had a lot of toxic people in my life. And right now, I'm surrounded by them. People who just don't get it. They don't see animals like I do. They don't care as much as I do, and they don't understand why I care, and they don't understand why it is like destroying me. And that was the morning of Christmas Eve. And then there was Christmas. I just paused the recording to shut the patio door because there was noise coming from outside. So that was Christmas Eve morning, and then it was Christmas. And I felt this pressure to get over it as fast as I could because everyone around me didn't get it. And at the very least, I felt pressured to put on a tough face and just pretend that I was okay. And a couple days, 6, 7, 8, 1 or 2 days, maybe the day after Christmas. 6, 7. I think it was Boxing Day. I was sitting at the table with some family, and I felt like this is not abnormal to me, and I'll talk about it in a different video, but I felt spirits touching my head on both sides, and I felt it right before I felt them touch my head. I was sitting there at the table and I was talking to people, and I felt a cat brush up against my leg, and in my head, I'm so used to that happening that it didn't faze me, and I didn't realize that there was no cats in the house. And then I felt a hand touch both sides of my head, and I realized that the cat that brushed up against my head was probably Nala. why? What are you trying to tell me? I knew that it wasn't just your cat is okay. I knew that that wasn't it. And it was like this persistent energy touching me, and I kept trying to figure out what they were trying to tell me, but I couldn't understand. And that kind of stayed with me on and off for like the next 2 days or so. And then on the 28th, I got a text that my mother had just died. And I didn't react to that the way that people wanted me to react to it. I didn't react to it the same way that I reacted to my baby. That was my baby. No, it was my baby. I know she's not a human, and I know I'm not supposed to feel this much pain for someone who's not a human. But that was where my love went. And that was what gave me love back. And when my mother passed, I didn't feel like that. I felt relief. And I'll talk about this in another video. I'll get into it because it is something that's very common for people who experienced abuse. When the source of their pain passes, that they feel relief. And there's so much more to this story, but I don't want to get into it in this video. But I will talk about this topic. So I spent the last several months from August to January, essentially, deathly worried about my cat and trying to nurse her back to health. And then she passed, and then it was Christmas, which is a whole nother thing. And then 2 days later, my mother died, and then I basically arranged the funeral almost myself and gave the eulogy to my mother. And I thought it was okay because I just kept pushing through, and it was okay. And then I got sick. I got like a virus or something, and I didn't get fully sick, but I was trying to prevent myself from getting fully sick. So it was like relaxing and sleeping more, and it was almost like because I did that, because I allowed myself to relax, all the feelings started to hit me. And then I was so depressed for several weeks. I just couldn't do anything. And I'm only at the point right now where I can make this video. And I've been better as of this morning anyways. I was better. I know that sounds like clearly I'm not better. But I feel like I've finally gotten over the worst part, and I'm getting better now. And so I don't know if I'm gonna make another video today or in 6 months from now. I feel like I really want to start making videos again. I'm not totally sure how that's gonna go. And so I've been procrastinating making videos because I knew that this one was going to be hard to make, and I couldn't just go on and ignore it. I had to make this one first. And it was so hard to face this channel because my cats are such a big part of it. That I honestly consider just never making videos for this channel again, which is obviously what I'm saying to myself when I'm in pain and not true. Anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know what happened, and I'm sorry for crying like the whole time. Thanks for watching, guys.